referendum to allow it to be included in the scope. But supposedly they have extra money, they're coming in under budget and so on, so the amount of the bond is not gonna change.
Gotcha, okay.
They're just finding another way to spend it.
But you won't see any difference, I mean, it's a, and I mean, the
Right,
little
at the
bit
end
that
of
they're
the
gonna
day.
have. Now, they're looking at like probably like $3.5 to $4 million that is sitting in some two pots. And I keep asking about the contingency pot because I've been reading that they have change orders. And I'm saying is, this pot like with this, it keeps going down and down and down. And
Every-
so
every job
I've
does
just,
change orders.
I've just, and also all of the invoices are not in this school. So, and I'm just concerned that, I don't know how you go out and get, to get rid of your unclean dirt or stuff, and whether or not that can be locked in for 2 years, that you have the same price on all these trucks going. So, these are just my questions.
Yeah, they're valid questions,
But,
good question.
okay, anybody else? Yes, Ann, I'm sorry.
Just a question for Stu, please. Are you familiar with a potential barber shop that is moving in to the?
Yeah, we met with them today, and they met with the health department. I'd also, and I apologize, because, do you know her name? We have a new health director, Maura. She started yesterday. And she is taking over the position as the director of health, which was held by Wes Bell, because our former health director didn't have that qualification. So she has qualifications as a director, so she will be the director, and Wes will be back as a part-time sanitarian.
Well, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and she's a very nice person, and we all think she'll do very well.
So
So
you
where's
wanna
the new
tell us
barber
where
shop?
the,
Pardon me?
Where's the new barber shop?
The barber shop is in the former doggy treat store
Oh, next to
on,
Mitchell's.
on Community Field Road.
Oh.
Yeah. So they're going in there.
do you know who the owner is?
Of the barber shop?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a young gentleman named Tony. We met him today briefly.
I don't remember his last name.
Yeah.
or Morris' last name?
No, but we'll get it for you.
Thank you.
Yep. So that's going in there. Everything, everything else seems to be moving along. We're still waiting to see the revised plan for 100 Berlin Road. We're working with the state of Connecticut on all our paperwork for that, so that's moving along. So those are some of the projects there.
I hate to beat the dead horse on this, barber shop. Is it strictly for men? We have 5 beauty salons already. and
I think they look like it's a men's barber shop.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I have a feeling it's for guys, so.
Well, they also do women's hair too, in some of the barber shops.
Right, that's right.
Because my granddaughter is a barber. She's working now over in Newington.
And
In a
again,
men's
the
barber
Glenn
shop.
Johnson Realty Building is also for sale because the tattoo parlor there closed.
Oh.
Not for sale, for rent.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
So is it the whole building that's for rent, or just the tattoo parlor area? Or was the,
she was basically in the whole thing. I mean, it's an
I didn't
open
know that.
space. They
Okay.
didn't cut it up.
okay,
Yeah, she was a sole occupant. I don't know if you remember being in there, but it's basically kind of like this, and it goes on forever. There's 1 or 2 sides, small offices, but it's a very open floor plan.
Remember
Yeah.
nails were in aisle 3, remember that? When it was a hardware store?
listen, I'm gonna date myself, but I can remember when they used to sell guns and dynamite. Then that's the truth.
Wow.
You were probably the biggest buyer.
Maybe. Maybe.
Warning shot.
And I used to go there and buy BBs. Rennie Norbert.
So we're hoping to make an announcement on the end cap unit, and I always forget the shopping center name, and I should know it, but the shopping center behind Kentucky Fried Chicken that's been renovated. They do have a tenant. We're waiting to see the lease agreement and everything for the largest space there, which is the Aaron's Furniture Store space. That's about 6,000 square feet, so that's gonna be rented out, so we're very excited about that. And it's gonna be a specialty food place, and so hopefully they move forward, and that'll be great. It's gonna be a lot of work in there because that's a pretty empty area. So a lot of tenant fit out. So it should be interesting. So things are basically pretty steady. Obviously, there's some big retail spaces, the holes over at 132 Shunpike Road. The pet store is gone. That was a pretty big space, price-wise gone. They're still talking to people. They're looking at a variety of uses they're looking at some retail and a variety of other uses. They're also negotiating, they have about 20,000 square feet of medical office space on the second floor of that building, so they're also working with some possible tenants there. So hopefully we'll make some announcements. So the good thing's that the people are still looking. I've got somebody that wants to build a 4-story storage facility. Yeah. Some, I can't say, but you'll see it. We'll all see it. So I mean, so things are steady. People are coming in, people are talking. So, you know, again, it's tough with retail space. It's tough with office space at this point. But it's everywhere like that. So we're not really any different. You know. Barb's Pizza is moving along. They went into Worcester Square Pizza, so they'll be opening eventually.
Yeah,
Yep, their
their signs up.
signs up.
What's that? They're right on.
Always so good, I don't understand why they keep.
Yeah. Next. Thank you, sir. So that's what's going on, if we have any questions. So the first item tonight is, I'm sorry, any other? Okay, so the first item tonight is new business, accept and schedule new application. So we have the application for 5 Meadow Road. This is a standard application to build a garage over 1,000 square feet. He's gonna end up being about 1,100 square feet with his new garage and his existing garage. Actually, it'll come to 1,056 square feet. So that'll be a public hearing, and I would ask the commission to accept the application and schedule it for our first meeting in May.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept and schedule application 2504, 5 Meadow Road, for a special permit and a public hearing. And that's the first meeting in May, which is, let's see how fast I can do this calendar. What is it, May 6th? So May 6th.
Thank you. And then under new business evening, we have 55 Sabethy Drive, which is a request for a special permit. We have representatives here from the Connecticut Water Company, who is the new tenant in the building. And I just wanted to ask everybody if they could, I don't think in their package they got the actual staff comments, so we just want to pass these around. Let me just grab one. Yes, you got it. So basically, they'll make a presentation on the application. The only staff comment is a comment from the building department in regards to the location of the EV charger spaces, and the applicant will address that question this evening. You're on. So if you could introduce yourself and give your name and business address and the name of the company.
Yeah, my name's Kevin Schwabe, Connecticut Water Company. I'm a construction project supervisor. Work out of 446 Smith Street in Middletown. So we've been, that's our state operations center, primarily.
Excuse me, can you move the mic a little, you could take it out? Yeah, so you can talk a little louder.
Walk around.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is our state operations center, which is primarily our engineering department. Connecticut Water has 4 different regions around the state. So it's very important to have a central location where we can dispatch to each one within a reasonable amount of time, an hour each one at most. So we purchased this property, I believe, in February with the intent to move from Middletown up to Cromwell, to this location. Everyone's pretty excited about it. The place we're in now is really a temporary space that's been going on 9 years, and we've since added staff. We need more space for personnel and for equipment and operating rooms. So our intent here is really we're going to occupy the first floor, consistent with what we do with all of our company-owned facilities. We create secure parking areas, really for company fleet vehicles that are used during the day, and or personal vehicles that may be left there overnight. In our standard fencing requires badge access to get in, motorized gates, and that's what we're looking for here. Our company is also made a commitment, an environmental commitment to position electrical vehicle chargers at all of our headquarters, regional headquarters, and corporate office spaces. So we've elected to move forward with that here as well. Really, we have a fleet of vehicles. We're buying 1 or 2 Ford Mavericks every year, and that will be really just to charge our own vehicles here on a, to be frank, pretty infrequent basis. So that is, I think that's the overview of the project here, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I want to thank Mr. Popper for getting this in front of the commission pretty quickly. We're looking to move in a little bit more than 30 days or so. So we're kind of under the gun here to get some modifications done and to get the site secured with company protocols.
Do you have any idea how many people are gonna be employed in the building and what kind of hours they work?
Sure, yeah. Right now, we'll have between 30 and 45 people there. Our hours, standard corporate hours, 8 to 5, Monday to Friday. We are still on a hybrid work schedule. So Tuesday and Thursday, it's going to be a lot more traffic in and out of the place, but Monday and Friday, it's pretty lightly staffed.
Are you gonna occupy the whole building? You were saying this, you were gonna occupy only the first floor.
We are occupying the first floor. We don't have any short-term plans for the second floor. I think you mentioned previously getting appetite for office space it's hard to find right now. So whether we carry that and use it as overflow space for additional conference rooms possibly, upper management's making a decision long-term whether it's better to relocate all the corporate offices up here and take the second floor or evaluate what the rental market looks like. But as of right now, there is no short-term plans to use that second floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Will you describe, or will the other gentleman describe what the fence is gonna look like and where it's gonna be located?
Yeah, so it's kind of going perpendicular to the corners of the building. As you can see right there, it is an 8-foot tall black vinyl chain link fence. It's a smaller mesh to prevent people from climbing, so it's a no-climb mesh. So that'll be on both corners of the building, and it'll really back up to the existing curb line with the trees providing other means of security for.
Can you pan out so they can see that this is the back of the building, and they can kind of see how much property there is? Because there's quite a bit of property, but beyond your property line, it's all undeveloped.
Yes, it's an undeveloped residential property behind there. The property line is kind of tight to the curb line. I guess it's not really shown on this plan. Rick, maybe go to the existing conditions plan and.
I have paper copies. If anybody wants a paper copy of the plan, we do have paper copies.
So as you're looking at that depiction, at the top of the screen is where the street is. That's Sabethy Drive. You see the 2 curb cuts, north and south.
And the fence is located at the rear of the building, basically on the corners of the building. So literally, when you drive by, you're not gonna notice it.
No, it shouldn't be visible from the road. And we elected, there's not a ton of room in back with the property line right there to put some fencing up there. We're relying on the trees to kind of provide a little bit of a measure from people jumping in and grabbing a vehicle and getting out of there, so.
Can I ask, is that a big issue? Like, do you guys have a lot of issues with that?
We don't have a lot of issues. We did have some issues down in our current facility down in Middletown with, during COVID, we had catalytic converters cut out of trucks in an unsecured area. So it's just protocol now just to lock these things up. And in the event people had to leave their own personal vehicle, if they're out the other end of the state, closer to home, might as well leave their vehicle behind closed gates here at the office with a little bit of protection.
Sure, yep.
So I understand you're having a little bit of a problem with the, one of your EV spaces being for a handicapped van kind of thing. I did take the liberty of calling the building official this morning, John Egan, after I was aware of it. And in conversation with John, he cannot waive the code requirement for that parking stall. What he can do is he can work with you, and you can request from the state building official a variance, a waiver, he had another name for it, it's escaping me at the
Sure,
moment.
yeah.
Modification.
Okay,
You can ask for a code modification, and you need a hardship for a code modification. The hardship would be that you're tight for space and don't have enough spaces. And what he said was, because this area, and you need to basically put all this in writing for the state building official, and he will work with you in getting this done. But because this area is not open to the public, and it's not part of your public parking, which is around the sides and in the front, that there was a possibility that the state building official might grant you this code modification so that you don't have to put in the handicap van accessible in the private parking area for your own business vehicles.
sure, okay. No, I appreciate doing some homework for us on that.
That would be the way to solve that problem. The other thing he did mention was that if you do put it in, this is more of a striping issue and losing a parking stall kind of thing. He said that area is not a technical handicap parking stall open to the public. So there's no possibility of law enforcement going back there and saying, you've got somebody parked in a handicap stall, we're gonna ticket this vehicle. That being said, he said if you stripe it and park in it anyhow, it shouldn't be an issue. But again, I'd like you to confirm all this with John Egan. That was his solution, was to go to the state building official and ask for a code modification. He doesn't have the ability to do that, but the state building official does.
Okay, understood. John Egan is Town of Cromwell?
John Egan is the Town of Cromwell chief building official.
Okay.
And he's aware of it now. I went through it with him chapter and verse, and he can walk you through it and give you all the contact information, and he's a great guy, he'll work with you. If John Egan can't do it, John Schmaltz, the other building official, John and John.
Okay.
But they're both very good, and they're both very cooperative in terms of this, because this is a private area that is only for your own
Right.
company vehicles.
Yeah.
If it was open to the public for parking, there would be no shot. But because of what it is and the way it is, you do have a possibility.
Yeah, certainly we'll educate ourselves on that. You know, we've done a handful of these and have not run across this issue before, but yeah, I'd be interested to have the conversation for sure. And
Yeah, the codes with handicap parking and the codes with the new EV parking, it's a moving target. They're
Yeah.
constantly evolving.
Yeah.
But this is one that he felt the written code does not apply well to your application.
okay, understood.
So that would be the solution, and in terms of us giving an approval, Stuart, how do we handle that?
I would make a condition, and the condition would be that the issue of the handicap parking space be resolved between the applicant and John Egan, chief building official.
Perfect. Okay, anybody else have any questions of the applicant?
Would there be any deliverable on our end for that, or is it just an understanding with John Egan?
Yeah, I mean, eventually we'll have a letter in the file
Okay,
that'll say that either you got a modification from the state and you built it the way that you proposed, or you didn't get a modification from the state and you built it the way that Mr. Egan proposed.
sure, understood.
Yep, thank you.
Anybody have any questions for the applicant? Motion,
Okay.
please.
That being said, I'll make a motion to approve application, where are we here,
2503.
Yeah,
2503. New site plan, for parking at, 55 Sabeth Drive, with the condition that the EV, parking space situation be resolved with the chief building official, and that a letter be put in the file, that appropriately addresses it.
Is it the EV, it's not the handicap then? Is that right?
Well, it's an EV parking stall for a handicap van.
Oh, okay, no, because I was just looking up, oh, okay. All right,
So you need a second.
Second.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good luck.
Thank you.
You bet.
Welcome to Cromwell.
Welcome to Cromwell.
Are you guys gonna do private, water testing for individuals?
Okay, moving on.
We would need a motion to open the public hearing.
Okay, I'll make a motion to open a public hearing, application 2502, Town of Cromwell zoning regs.
Second, please.
And I do have a copy, I found it on my email. I do have a copy of Mr. Rude's comments that I would like to read into the record.
Okay,
If
wonderful.
that's okay with Mr. Rude? Yep. So this is addressed to the Planning and Zoning Commission, public hearing, March 18th, 2025. Town of Cromwell proposed zoning regulation, application 2502, Mr. James Rude, 25 High Ridge Road. Please see the suggested additional wording to the proposed zoning regulations. Such wording would obligate the applicant to provide documentation in advance of the hearing that the notice requirements have been fulfilled, as well ensure that such documentation becomes part of the permanent public record in the recent record in the event of a future legal action. Thank you. And under 6.2 application procedure, there's some standard language. I'll read the standard language and then I'll read Mr. Rude's suggested additional wording. So notification of abutting property owners, pages 162 to 163. Said notice shall consist of written notification of the public hearing by mail at least 14 days prior to the public hearing. A certificate of mailing from the U.S. Post Office of said written notice shall be conclusive evidence of compliance with the provisions of this section. Then there was suggested additional wording. Such evidence shall be submitted by the applicant to the zoning enforcement officer, along with the list of owners of abutting properties, not less than 5 business days prior to the hearing date. The documentation shall be made a part of the record at the public hearing. So that was his first suggestion. His second suggestion was number 8, public hearing sign posting requirements, page 163. And it states, said sign shall be removed by the applicant not later than 3 days after the final action. But his suggested wording is that this would be new G. The applicant must provide timestamped documentation with photos to the zoning enforcement officer detailing that the above sign was erected and maintained as required. Such evidence shall be submitted to the zoning enforcement officer not less than 5 business days prior to the hearing date. This documentation shall be made part of the record at the public hearing. So those were the 2 comments in relationship to, we've had kind of a consistent conversation regarding additional requirements of notification to be placed upon the applicant. We did work with the town attorney and she recommended certain wording and the commission went along with that wording, but we can talk a little bit about that at the next public hearing. I'll make sure that Mr. Rude receives a copy of the town attorney's language, and I'll give everybody a copy of Mr. Rude's notice, his email, and a copy of the town attorney's opinion, and we can have that conversation one more time.
Mr. Popperbeck,
Yeah.
when we've had the public hearings and they have brought in the materials that they have sent out these notices and things like this, they've done that at the meeting and you've gotten all those from the applicant, am I correct?
Yes.
And-
But there is additional language that, so Mr. Rude's comments are one in regards to additional notification. But there were also comments in an earlier memo by Mr. Rude, where the lack of notice, okay, could be construed to not construed is a bad word. So the lack of notice could trigger either the delay of the public hearing, or even the cancellation of the public hearing, or the denial of the application. And the town attorney had written some language for us addressing those questions. So we'll pass that language out one more time so everybody can take a look at it. And I'll also make sure that Mr. Rude gets a copy.
No, the only reason I'm asking is because Mr. Rude said to me is that when he has been here, he has never seen any of those
We usually get them, yeah, I can't recall anywhere we haven't, but. Okay, okay,
Okay, I just
Not a problem.
wanted to make sure that, because I said to him, no, these documents have come up because we've seen them.
right.
You know,
Car warranty was about to expire.
they want me to get a new one and I won't.
Her tolls on the Mass Pike,
Right.
Unpaid toll.
So we had one or two comments from commission members, which were incorporated into the regs. Alice wants to get me some final grammatical stuff and some page notation, so we'll have that, but we're pretty much done.
Yeah, we are. I've just found,
So that's that. We will be posting, an RFP for the Complete Streets Plan. We're going out for an RFP. We have money set aside in the budget under capital projects, to do a Complete Streets Plan for the town of Cromwell. And again, that's a requirement of the state of Connecticut to continue with any, grants that we've been doing. We're also waiting, hopefully we're gonna hear this week about our STEEP grant, which was about $500,000 for drainage improvements up on Cedar Drive. So, yeah, no, we won't hear until, supposedly they're gonna make an announcement April 3rd, but we'll see.
I don't know what meeting I was at, they said that we've gotten.
Pardon me?
Right.
No, we have not gotten to see.
The people on Cedar Drive are so happy.
So those are some of the things going on. I don't know if anybody has any other questions.
Anybody, members, have anything to say? No?
All right, I'll make a motion
Wait a minute,
to
what about the
continue the public,
continue the public?
continue the public hearing.
Second, okay, we'll continue the public hearing to our third, next meeting in April.
Everybody in favor? Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, now approval of minutes. So Alice, me, Jim Grosso, John, Andrew, and Vinnie can decide on these minutes, and all of those people are here. So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented unless someone has a change that you'd like.
second?
All good?
All good.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, commissioners' comments.
Commissioners' comments? Yes?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, I sent out after the last regional COG meeting, the River COG, some House bills and some other legislative packages that were being reviewed in both the House and the Senate. And I hope you had a chance to read them. I read through them. I'm not gonna pretend to understand all the nuances of them, but there were two in particular, and that's where maybe either Stuart or Bruce, if they want or have a background in those, can talk about them. But one of them is Senate Bill 1313, which talks about an increased housing development within 1/2 mile of a public transit station. And the other was House Bill 6831, an act concerning transit-oriented communities. What they're looking to generally do is work with putting affordable or moderate housing close to transit areas. And we have a couple transit areas in our area, obviously 91 and the Celestine Highway, 99, has bus travel, public transportation going through those. But
I thought they were more focused on that, the Money Pit train.
well, it's more than the train stations. I think they're going, again, you're talking about
Bus routes?
residential and mixed-use developments in commercial zones and things like
The
that, so.
impression I got was that they were trying to
They could be, but I'm just,
around the train that.
so I think what they're looking for is bring back that old affordable housing issue that was up a couple years ago, trying to figure out where affordable housing could be. And I think you need to go back and read those, because my concern is, I'm gonna go over to that. There's language in these bills that talks of increasing, this is 1313, an act increasing housing development within 1/2 mile of a public transit station, which is the railroad thing. But it says as a right, and that's the same language that's in the other bill, as a right, which means there's no public hearing, there's nothing that we really can do about it.
No regulation.
So the River COG,
Building on toxic waste dump.
so,
I get it.
right, so,
It's wrong.
and the dwelling units, you know, and how they define them and all that. So the River Cog is basically, has not necessarily said they're against it, but they put comments saying that depending on where they are, they would not be necessarily in favor of it. So, that's where it is right now. I haven't heard anything from the last meeting, which was last Monday. But those are out there. If you're interested, give them a look. You can attend the River Cog meetings or send questions to me, and I can send them to the River Cog if you want to hear the answers. But I'm just kind of putting out a cautionary, I don't think it's anything bad necessarily, but it's something that we should keep an eye on, and I would imagine our town staff is probably has their ear to that as well. So, I don't necessarily disagree, but from an informational perspective, I'm just putting that out on the table, and I know we have people looking into it. I just want to make sure the commission was aware of it.
You're also looking at getting rid of any public hearing.
Yes, especially when it deals with that, a certain type of the housing that they're dealing with, the affordable and otherwise, so.
And also, I think that we should look into, because they put in, if you take a look at their map and things like this, they've said is that we're in these type of zones and things like this.
Right.
But they've never really come out and really talked about it. And those type of zones, leave very little for what I call the people here having any type of power.
Yeah.
You know, they can just come in and put something in.
There was a lot of discussion on, we're a more developed area with Middletown. If you go down towards the coast, those towns aren't as developed, and I think a lot of the concern has to do with those towns more than us, is we have some of that housing is already in our towns. You can argue the percentage. So, there may be ways or areas where affordable housing is a good thing, generally speaking, but the town should have the ability to have input on those, not an as-of-right clause. So, but discussion did take place with, like, the East Limes and the old Saybrookes and that don't have a lot of that. And the question about whether they go on, wetlands and how it infringes on the wetlands and all those issues that have come up over the years. So, my only concern generally is, even though it's specific for a general area, once you get your foot in the door, you don't know where that's gonna expand. So it's just important for us to keep an ear out, and like I said, I know our town staff is, but we should be aware of it too, so that if we do have comments, we could work together to put something together to reply to the River Cog, if they need us as a town to say either yay, nay, or here's our opinion. So, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you very much, Nick, because you're very good on, keeping us well informed. Anybody have anything good for the?
No, motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Thank you very much.